Hello students, this is Mohammad Jubair, and in this video today we are going to discuss about the heterotrophic nutrition. So what do you mean by heterotrophic nutrition? The mode of nutrition in which the organism obtain the food from the other organism is called as heterotrophic nutrition. So my dear students, so the mode of nutrition differ from organism to organism. So depending on type of food eaten by an organism, availability of food for an organism, ways of obtaining the food by an organism. So depending on these factors, the mode of nutrition differs from organism to organism. So for example, food sources are two types: stationary food source, mobile food source. So stationary food source means, for example, grass. The grass will fixed at a specific place, so the grass will not move from one place to other place. So that's why the grass is an example for the stationary food source. And next, mobile food source. Mobile means movement. Okay, so for example, deer. The deer is a food material for the lion. The deer will make movements. So that's why the deer is an example for the mobile food source. Now the grass eaten by the cow, the deer eaten by the lion. So these would allows the differences how the organisms access the food, and what kind of nutritive apparatus required by the cow and lion. So these would make the difference. So my dear students, heterotrophic nutrition mainly divides into three types. So first one, saprophytic nutrition, holozoic nutrition, and parasitic nutrition. So there are many strategies are there which are followed by the organisms. So not all the organisms will follow the same kind of mode of nutrition. Okay, so they will follow various strategies. First one, saprophytic nutrition. So what do you mean by saprophytic nutrition? Some of the organisms, they will break down the complex food to into simple form outside of their body, and they will intake the simple form of the food inside their body. So this kind of nutrition is called as a saprophytic nutrition. Example: yeast, mushrooms, bread mold. So these are the fungi. And next, holozoic nutrition. So what do you mean by holozoic nutrition? Some of the organisms, they will intake the whole food inside, and further breakdown of this complex food into simple forms occur inside their bodies. So these kind of nutrition which are taking the whole food to inside, and further conversion of the complex food into simple food occurs inside their bodies. So this kind of nutrition is called as holozoic nutrition. Example: humans and amoeba. And next, parasitic nutrition. Some of the organisms, they lives on the surface of the some plants and bodies of the other animals. Okay, without killing them, they are getting the food and nutrients. So these kind of nutrition is called as a parasitic nutrition. Example: Cuscuta. Cuscuta is a parasitic plant. Next, leeches, ticks, lice. Without killing the organism, they will get the food. So these kind of nutrition is called as a parasitic nutrition. So next, my dear students, how do the organisms obtain their nutrition? So if you take the single-celled organism like amoeba, if you take single-celled organism like amoeba, which is a unicellular organism, okay, in the pseudopodia, in the amoeba, finger-like projections are called as pseudopodia. Pseudopodia are the finger-like projections which help to intake the food material. Okay, so after intake of food material, the amoeba forms food vacuole around the food. Okay, food vacuole. Inside this food vacuole, the conversion of complex food into simple food will be occurs. So these simple forms of the food will be diffused into the cytoplasm, and rest of the undigested food waste material will be sent to the surface of the amoeba. From there it is thrown to outside. So this is the nutrition in a amoeba. So pseudopodia, finger-like projection, which helped in the nutrition in a amoeba. And next, if you take another unicellular organism, paramecium. In the paramecium, the food which is not taken by the entire surface. In the amoeba, the food is taken by the entire surface of the organism. But in the case of the paramecium, which is also a unicellular organism, the food which is not taken by the entire surface of the organism in a paramecium. Paramecium. Okay, in the paramecium, the food is taken at a specific spot. This spot is called as a oral groove. In this spot only, the paramecium intake the food material, and the entire body of the entire surface of the paramecium, which is covered with the cilia. These cilia help to move the food material towards the oral groove. So this is about the nutrition in a single celled organism. So next, nutrition in human beings. So my dear students, as the complexity of the organism increases, so it develops the specialized organs to perform the various functions. So nutrition in animals. The digestive system of the human beings, which is consisting of mainly alimentary canal. The alimentary canal, which is a long tube, which is starting from the mouth and ends with the anus. Okay, the alimentary canal has specialized organs. So these organs will perform the various functions. So my dear students, the food we are eating will be in the complex nature. So it should be, if it is to be observed from the alimentary canal, it should be converted into simple forms. Okay, so this function is done with the help of chemicals called as enzymes. So the enzymes will help to break down the complex food into simple forms. So next, the first part, that is mouth. The first part of the alimentary canal is the mouth. So when we keep the food inside the mouth, a water like substance will be releases inside the mouth. The water like substance it is not only the water, it is called as saliva. The saliva contains salivary amylase. Okay, the water like substance inside the mouth is saliva. The saliva contains enzyme called as salivary amylase enzyme. So what is the function of this enzyme? The salivary amylase enzyme will convert the complex sugars like starch to simple sugars. Okay, so by the action of salivary amylase enzyme, which help to convert the complex sugars into simple sugars. Okay, the salivary glands which are present in the mouth releases a water like substance that is called as saliva. The saliva contains salivary amylase. So my dear students, there is a small activity to understand what is the function of the salivary amylase. Okay, take two test tubes and label them as A and B. To the both test tubes, fill 1 ml of starch solution for the both 1 ml of starch for both test tubes A and B. And here to the test tube A, add 1 ml of saliva to the test tube A, but don't add any saliva to the test tube and B. Now keep these two setups for undisturbed for 20 to 30 minutes without disturbing them. Okay, so after 20 to 30 minutes, now pour a few drops of iodine solution with the help of dropper to the both test tubes. Okay, iodine solution, dilute iodine solution to the both test tubes A and B. So what could be our observation? What we can observe in a test tube A? In test tube A, no blue black color appears. Okay, in test tube B, blue black color appears. Okay, blue black color appears. So what is the reason? In test tube A, we added the saliva. The saliva converted the starch into simple sugars. So that's why there will be no blue black color. And test tube B, we did not add any saliva. So that's why the blue black color will be formed. So by this activity, we can say that the saliva which act on the starch and convert the starch into simple sugars. So in the saliva also, the enzyme salivary amylase act for this purpose. Okay, so next, so my dear students, the saliva also help to move the food from the mouth to esophagus freely. The saliva also acts as a lubricant. Next, the muscular structure present in the mouth, that is called as a tongue. The tongue is a organ which help to mix the food thoroughly inside the mouth, and the tongue also help to move the food around the mouth while chewing. And next, the teeth. The teeth help, the teeth which are present in our mouth will help in the mechanical digestion. So what do you mean by mechanical digestion? So mechanical digestion means the actually the food will be in the solid state. So the by the mastication of the by the action of the teeth, the food will becomes into a soft, becomes into very smooth form. So this is called as a mechanical digestion. Means there will be no chemical change of the food. Only the solid food of the solid material turns into smooth. So this is called as a mechanical digestion. And next, the food bolus from the mouth. Now the condition after masticating, the food condition is called as food bolus. Now the food bolus from the mouth enters into the next part of the alimentary canal, that is the esophagus. The esophagus, which is also called as the food pipe. Okay. And my dear students, the alimentary canal has the alimentary canal which is made up of muscular wall. The walls of the alimentary canal will show the rhythmic contraction. They will create wave-like movements. Okay. So these wave-like movements are called as the peristaltic movements. The walls of the alimentary canal will show the rhythmic contractions. So they will form the wave-like movements. These wave-like movements are called as peristaltic movements. These peristaltic movements help to move the food forward inside the alimentary canal. Okay. Now the food from the mouth enters into the esophagus. From esophagus to the food enters into the a large bag-like structure is called as the stomach. When the food enters into the stomach, the walls of the stomach expands. The stomach does not have the limited space. Okay, when the food enters into the stomach expands. Okay, the walls of the stomach has glands. They are called as gastric glands. Okay, the walls of the stomach has glands, gastric glands. The gastric glands secretes HCl, mucus, and an enzyme pepsinogen. Okay, gastric glands, they secrete HCl, mucus. Next, an enzyme pepsinogen. Okay, so what is the function of HCl? The HCl used to kill the HCl help to kill the bacteria which is entering into the stomach through the food. Okay, so HCl kills the bacteria inside the stomach. And next, the second function is the HCl act on the pepsinogen. Okay, the HCl act on the pepsinogen, which is a inactive enzyme. Okay, and by the action of the HCl, the pepsinogen enzyme convert into pepsin, which is a active enzyme. Due to the presence of hydrochloric acid inside the stomach, the medium in the stomach will becomes into acidic condition. So this is the suitable for the breakdown of the proteins. Inside the stomach, there will be no breakdown of the fats and carbohydrates occurs. Only the digestion of the proteins only takes place. Why? Because the condition will be acidic medium, which is suitable for the digestion of the proteins. And the walls of the stomach will create a strong movements. So which help to mix the food with the gastric juices. And next, from the exit of the food after the digestion of proteins inside the stomach. Now the exit of the food from the stomach to the small intestine, which is regulated by the muscular sphincter. Okay, muscular sphincter will be there. Muscular sphincter, which allows the small amount of the muscular sphincter which is present here, okay, in between the small intestine and the stomach, which allows the small amount of food to enter from the stomach to the small intestine. And next, the next part, small intestine. The length of the small intestine varies from one animal to another animal. For example, if you take the herbivores are the animals which are eating the grass. Okay, so the herbivores which are eating the grass, they need the largest small intestine to digest the cellulose. And the animals which are eating the meat, example carnivores. The carnivores are the animals which are eating the meat. So they need the shorter small intestine. Okay, why? Because the digestion of the cellulose which is harder than the meat. So this is the reason why the herbivores require the larger small intestine. And next, my dear students, the small intestine, which is the longest part of the alimentary canal, and it is a site for maximum digestion. So the complete digestion occurs inside the small intestine. For this purpose, The small intestine receives the juices from the two parts, that is from the liver, and pancreas. Okay, next small intestine. The small intestine receives the juices from the liver and pancreas. The liver secretes bile juice, pancreas secrete pancreatic juice. So my dear students, the food which is entering from stomach to the small intestine, okay, which is acidic in medium, but to complete digestion in the small intestine, the condition, the medium of the small intestine should be turns to alkaline medium to perform the complete digestion. Okay, so for this purpose, the small intestine receives the juices from the liver, and pancreas. The liver secretes bile juice and pancreas secretes pancreatic juice. Pancreatic juice. So the bile juice does not have any enzymes. No enzymes present in the bile juice. The bile juice contains bile salts. Bile salts. So what is the function of these bile salts? So my dear students, the fats which are present in the small intestine, the enzymes cannot work. The enzymes cannot break down these complex fats. Okay, so these fats should be emulsified so that the efficiency of the enzymes will be worked on. So for this purpose, the large fat globules converts into emulsified fats, means emulsified fats by the action of the bile salts. Emulsified fat by the action of bile salt. The bile salts, they will increase the efficiency of the enzyme. Now the enzymes can work efficiently on the emulsified fat and they will convert them into simple forms. And next, pancreatic juice. The pancreatic juice, it contains some enzymes like trypsin, next amylase, and next lipase. Okay, next lipase. Trypsin break down the proteins. The trypsin break down the proteins into simple forms, and amylase break down the carbohydrates. Lipase break down the emulsified fats. Okay, emulsified fats. So apart from this, okay, the walls of the small intestine also has glands. The glands of the small intestine releases digestive juices like intestinal juice. The walls of the small intestine releases intestinal juice. These juice also contains enzymes. So these juices contains the enzymes which help to complete the digestion. Okay, like with the help of these, the carbohydrates, this is very important. Carbohydrates are break down into simple forms like glucose, and next fats are break down into fatty acids and glycerol, and next proteins are break down into amino acids. So this is very important. Okay, by the action of the intestinal juice, the carbohydrates are break down into glucose, the fats are break down into fatty acids and glycerol, proteins are divides into break down into amino acids. Okay, now the inner wall of the small intestine has numerous finger like projections. So these finger like numerous projections are called as villi. The inner wall of the small intestine has numerous finger like projections, which is lined by the squamous epithelium. the villi which are richly supplied with the lymphatic vessels and blood vessels. To observe the simple food material. Okay, so this is the structure of the villi. Okay, so the villi are the finger-like projections which are present in the inside the wall of the small intestine. So they will increase the absorption surface area of the small intestine. So they will intake the food materials. They will intake the food materials from the small intestine and they will mix into the blood, and the blood will carry these nutrients to the each and every cell of the body, so that our body will utilize these simple nutrients, simple food molecules for getting the energy and for growth and development, and for repairing the old tissues. Okay, so next the rest of the food will be sent to the next part of the alimentary canal, that is the large intestine. The large intestine, it is also called as the colon. Okay, so the complete digestion takes place inside the small intestine. So there is no the further digestion will not be occur in the large intestine. Only the walls of the large intestine absorb the water and minerals from the remaining food material, and remaining the waste material after absorption of the water, the remaining waste material which is sent to the outside through the sphincter called as anal sphincter. So this is about the nutrition in human beings. So I hope everybody understood the topic, and thank you.